Click for Biology 3.2.2. This is video D. Here we're identifying fatty acids from a diagram showing their structure. A fatty acid is composed of carbon, hydrogen and oxygen. The carbons are arranged in a long chain, carbon to carbon, like this. And the number of the carbons in the chain can vary. Some of them are relatively short, others have tens of carbons and perhaps 60 or 70 carbons. Each carbon has additionally attached to it hydrogens. This carbon here has a valency of 4, so we need to add 3 hydrogens to satisfy the valency. The next carbon only requires 2 hydrogens to satisfy the valency, and this is true all the way along the chain. Notice in the diagram that all the bonds between the carbons are single bonds. At the end of the chain, we have a carbon which forms the acid part of the molecule, which once more is the carboxylic acid group. So therefore we have double bond to oxygen, single bond to oxygen, and then a single bond to hydrogen. So this is the acid section of our fatty acid. Sometimes this diagram is simplified to make it easier to draw by missing out the hydrogens. This would give us a diagram looking something like this. And as we draw this, or as we read this in a text, we are expected to understand that the carbons are saturated with hydrogens, except at the end here where there would be the acid group. An even simpler representation of this molecule would look like this, in which the reader is expected to interpret each of the corners and indeed the end group here as representing a carbon, and that each carbon has hydrogens attached, until of course we get to the end where we have the acid group like this. Notice that in this molecule all the bonds are single. This is called a saturated fatty acid. On occasion, double bonds form between the carbon, such as this. Double bond, and then out here to the acid group. This is described as an unsaturated bond. If the molecule contains many such bonds, such as this, then of course this is known as a polyunsaturated fatty acid.